October is the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Up to when I became an adult, I didn't know what causes cancer. We didn't know that there are various stages of cancer and every stage has a different type of treatment.
There is an act of parliament that is enacted specifically to handle the issue of cancer. It's called the Cancer Prevention and Control Act, and it was enacted in the year 2012. 2012 ulikuwa na miaka ngapi? Are you like 10 years old? Okay.
But I'm not a Gen Z. We have an amendment that was tabled to Parliament 2022 of the Cancer Prevention and Control Act was to expand the scope and the function of NCI to include the use of e-health and telemedicine in the treatment of cancer patients. But we are in which year?
2012. That's 2 years ago.
Yeah. And the bill has not yet been passed.
But we want to pass a bill to increase the presidential term, yeah?
Yeah.
That we are very active on that one, yeah? And we have time to impeach.
We have time to impeach governors. We have time to impeach the deputy president.
Kenyans, you're not angry enough.
Hi guys, welcome to the Rundown. My name is Ndanun Yuko.
And I am Mihala Barasa.
And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about cancer awareness and regulations in Kenya. As you know, the October is the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and that is what informed our decision to discuss about cancer and the various costs that go with it. And what are the regulations that are there in Kenya that are able to help people who are either affected or are living with the condition. So I hope that you learned something. And also in the comment section, please tell us about your experience either directly or indirectly with cancer. Okay, so to start us off today, Mihala, please tell us, do we have any law or regulation in Kenya that covers cancer in general?
Yes, we do. And welcome to our channel. Actually, side note, you see this beautiful set that we're in? One of our friends, God rest her soul, she's called Moldine Makwata, died this year. We lost her to breast cancer. And I think that was another thing that made us come to you with this episode. So there are a lot of cancer soldiers. If you're a cancer soldier or you've survived cancer, kudos to you. And to those that we've lost in the war, we say rest in peace.
Yes.
So yes, there is an act of parliament that is enacted specifically to handle the issue of cancer. It's called the Cancer Prevention and Control Act, and it was enacted in the year 2012. 2012 ulikuwa na miaka ngapi? Are you like 10 years old? Okay.
If I tell guys nilikuwa wapi, they'll start calculating my age.
Okay.
But I'm not a Gen Z. Please.
No, umesema na nguvu. It's not like being a Gen Z is about. Anyway, so the act is called the Cancer Prevention and Control Act. A reading of the act, to me, I'll just talk about how I perceive it.
Yes.
It's to bring dignity and kind of remove the stigmatization and the discrimination that comes with cancer and associated diseases. When you read through the entire act, actually that's mostly what it's about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So besides the act, we also have the National Cancer Institute, which is basically the governing or oversight body that is basically entrusted with implementation of this act. Okay?
Yes. So the National Cancer Institute is a baby of the Cancer Prevention and Control Act, and it's one of the last things that the act provides for. Yes. So the act provides for the formation, let me just call it the formation of the National Cancer Institute. Yeah. And the National Cancer Institute, one of its main functions is to create awareness about cancer in the public. It's also to, apart from just creating awareness in the public, obviously it's to create awareness in schools as well. So the National Cancer Institute is mandated to kind of talk to, probably would say CBC at this point, to include cancer as one of the things in the curriculum. And then there's also the responsibility of the National Cancer Institute to collaborate. This is not like a mandate, but they collaborate with the employers and maybe medical service providers and other agencies to kind of just make sure people know more about cancer. And then the institute also outlaws to sensitize people and outlaw discrimination of any form that are associated to cancer. Yes. And then they are also supposed to ensure that cancer patients get basic health and social services, and then make sure that cancer patients are safe, and every precaution that needs to be taken in the event that there's a cancer patient either in a hospital or at the workplace. They're also in charge of kind of regulating such things.
Okay, that's good to know. I think raising awareness on the condition is very important. I think up to when I became an adult, I didn't know what causes cancer, how, like, I just used to hear, people go for chemotherapy. If you're found you have cancer, you just go for chemotherapy. We didn't even know about the different types of treatment that are there. We didn't know that there are various stages of cancer and every stage has a different type of treatment. So I think it's very important for the creation of awareness so that people can know how to prevent the disease. I know a lot of times when we talk about prevention, it's good to put a disclaimer that you might not be able to prevent it 100%, but it's reducing the chances of getting the disease. Yes. So it's good for the various institutions to come out and teach people about prevention, teach people about the various treatment options that are available, for people to learn about even the health centers that you can go to. I think a few years back, I lost one of my aunties to cancer. And I remember by the time we were learning about the Texas Cancer Center, I didn't know we had gone to Kenyatta Hospital.
Severally, yeah.
Yes. And then later is when you're being told, by the way, there's an affordable chemotherapy option at this place, you know? Yeah, so I think raising of awareness on various healthcare providers that specialize on cancer treatment is also something that would be very critical for the public to know about. And maybe just to make you angry a little bit, we have an amendment that was tabled to Parliament in 2022 of the Cancer Prevention and Control Act. So basically, the amendment to the Principal Act, which is the Cancer Prevention Act, the 2012 Act, was to expand the scope and the function of NCI to include the use of e-health and telemedicine in the treatment of cancer patients. But we are in which year?
2020. That's 2 years ago.
Yeah. And the bill has not yet been passed.
But we want to pass a bill to increase the presidential term, yeah?
Yeah.
That we are very active on that one, yeah? And we have time to impeach.
We have time to impeach governors. We have time to impeach the deputy president.
Kenyans, you're not angry enough.
Yeah.
We have time to debate
and
pass a finance bill or act that people do not want.
Yes.
We have time.
But we don't have time to pass such a critical bill, which is very unfortunate.
There's a problem.
Yeah.
And when you look at, even when you look at the Cancer Prevention and Control Act, let's just circle back to the issue of discrimination and maybe some of the things that we need to inform you as employers, potential employers and employees, is that stigmatization and discrimination because someone has cancer is prohibited in the workplace. So the Cancer Prevention and Control Act is actually very specific that you cannot deny someone maybe an interview, you cannot put them out of a recruitment process, you cannot deny them a promotion, you cannot deny them a bonus, you cannot deny them their salary or anything else that another employee is entitled to solely on the fact that they are a cancer patient. In fact, I would go as far as arguing if this person is still healthy enough to be working in your facility, you need to take measures to make them as comfortable as they can be, provided it's maybe these are some of the things that will not cost you too much. Yes. If it's within a reasonable limit, you're supposed to accommodate them. You're also not allowed to transfer someone or demote them. Because they took leave because they have cancer, or just because you're like, this person has cancer, let me demote them. There's always things that you can do to kind of improve their lives, and especially if this is a person that is getting better and like they might continue with this employment, there's no need to be that how can I put it, harsh on them.
Words.
Yes. In terms of schools, universities, private learning institutions, you're also not you're actually prohibited from denying access or admission to students on the basis that they have cancer. So if so you cannot tell me that you cannot enroll into this school because you have cancer. That is also prohibited.
Okay. So I think that's a very important point that you've brought up. Creating a conducive environment for cancer patients. I think I have seen people who have very good employers who have even allowed them to work from home. Because, for example, you might not be at an advanced stage of the disease, so you're able to work, but you're still going through chemo or other forms of treatment. And one of the challenges that comes with the treatments is that your immunity is a bit compromised. So some very good employers give their employees the option to work from home so that it reduces their exposure to other communicable diseases. Which I think is a very good thing. And kudos to all good employers. Yes.
We salute you.
Yes. I think one of the other questions or the other areas that I would want us to discuss today is, what are the challenges that come with cancer?
Okay. So one of the challenges that probably would come with cancer would be, like I said, you walk into any public facility and you're denied service. Again, I'll try to pivot back to the Cancer Prevention and Control Act. Before the Cancer and the HIV Prevention and Control Act as well, there was the mandate as the patient to declare your cancer status before an underwriter puts you on cover. And before they devise a limit for you. So one of the challenges is, even up to date, sometimes some employers or even like an insurer might not outrightly tell you, but they look like they want you to disclose your cancer status. Whereas the Cancer Prevention and Control Act, again, prohibits an insurer or a credit facility from discriminating you or denying you service because you are a cancer patient. Actually, what the Act says is we have to devise a reasonable limit for me not to disclose. So I can say, like, the limit is 500,000. You've not disclosed to me whether you have cancer or not. But if I, as a patient, am willing to disclose that information, then you can prorate whatever cover it is. But it has to be my own. My own. It has to be on my own volition. So even speaking about that challenge, again, it's the cost of cancer medication and cancer treatment. That's a big challenge to a lot of people.
And when we talk about the costs associated with the treatment of cancer, it's good to note that, previously when we had NHIF, they would cover part of the cancer treatment and some of the diagnostics that go hand in hand with the cancer treatment. So I think with now the rollout of SHIF, would be curious to see how much the government is going to cover in terms of cancer treatment.
Do you think it will come in the ESIF?
Yes, because it falls under
critical illness.
Yes, critical illness. Okay. So the other challenge that we talked about as we were preparing for this episode is the issue of alternative medicine. I think in Kenya we don't have any clear law or regulation around alternative treatment.
There's the Witchcraft Act. I joke. Okay, go on. I joke.
There's actually a Witchcraft Act. I've never actually read it. Okay. So, so in terms of alternative medicine, you find that there was a research that was done by, I think it was Kemri, where about 73% of cancer patients who went through the herbal type of treatment actually fully recovered. Yes. But the challenge that we have currently in Kenya is that we don't have any law or regulation that governs alternative medicine. So you find that doctors are a bit skeptical to prescribe to their patients the alternative medicine route because they don't want to be held liable in the event that the treatment does not go well. Yes. And also, I think there's need for research to look at how does the let's call it modern medicine interact with the herbal medicine. Yes. So, for example, if someone is going through radiotherapy, can they take the herbs? You know, can you combine both the modern medicine and the herbal medication?
Yeah, and by herbal medication, just to clarify, we don't mean jazz cabbage. We just mean like miti shamba.
Miti shamba.
Yes, miti shamba. We also had a challenge around how your loved ones take to your cancer and how what the government is doing or what we can do to be able to support as a country people who are dealing with cancer related trauma. And it's not my cancer, it's maybe my sister has cancer, my brother, my son, my daughter, my mother, my dad. What does the government do or what is the government doing in terms of such support? And one of the things we were thinking through was, does this then mean that a proper cancer cover, if I've disclosed, should include therapy for members of my family?
Yeah.
Should it include like if I leave, then what does the post condition look? And even during the condition, what does the situation in my family look like? And I think one of the things that we were discussing around it and thinking is because some of the insurers now are allowing their members or their customers to use outpatient for therapy.
Yeah.
If you want therapy, even let's say as a cancer patient, wouldn't you then just let your entire medical pool be geared towards treating your cancer, or would you want a piece of that to be allocated to therapy? Can it then look like maybe we say you can have 10 therapy sessions for every cancer cover you take?
No.
Like, is that something that maybe the government can do? Or is it, if you're the main, what are they called? The principal member of an insurance cover, can, if that cover has a standard cancer cover that is actually prorated to you, can each of those family members be eligible to 3 or 4 sessions of therapy?
Yeah.
Like, is that a possibility? So that kind of support is what we were looking at as well.
That's true. I think psychosocial support is very critical with cancer and other chronic and critical illnesses because even the caregivers get fatigued. So there is need for even some sort of therapy or counseling for the caregivers who are working every day with the cancer patients. Yeah. Also training and awareness for caregivers. I think that's something that a lot of times we need to know. We also need, there's some basic things, I'd call it under first aid, but there are also some basic things that I think it's important for people to know, especially when you're living with a patient, especially patients who are diagnosed with some serious chronic illnesses, okay? Keeping the environment clean, how to, if they have a wound, how do you dress it, how do you clean it, things like that. I think those are some of the trainings that the government, NGOs, and
the National Cancer Institute
need to look into. Yes, because I think training of caregivers is very, very important so that they are aware on how to make the life of the patient more comfortable. Yeah.
Which other challenges do you foresee, or do you think cancer patients experience in Kenya?
The other challenge that I'd like to point out is accessibility to healthcare facilities that have specialized cancer care or treatment. When you look at our country today, it's the major cities like Nairobi, Mombasa that have service providers that are able to provide certain treatments like chemotherapy and radiotherapy. On top of that, even medication. You will find some areas, even the level 4 hospitals don't have the medication required for the cancer patients. So they either have to send for the medicine from Nairobi to go all the way home, wherever they are, for them to be able to continue with their treatment. On top of that, we have issues like some diagnostics, like the PET scan. The last time I checked, I think we only have 2 hospitals in Kenya that have the PET scan.
They might be more, but I know of Kenyatta
AU.
University teaching a referral in
Yes.
Nairobi West.
Yeah.
I don't know if Aga Khan has
Yes,
one.
Aga Khan also has
Aga
one.
Khan also has one, yeah.
Yes.
So there are not many.
There are not many.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that also is a big challenge. Okay. Because let's not forget if if accessibility to healthcare facilities is a challenge, it means even diagnosis will be done late.
Yes.
And even the treatment will also be a challenge because now you'll have to be traveling long distances to probably come to whichever city you're going to for treatment, or you have to now seek accommodation in that city.
Like you have to get more costs
Exactly.
to get this really expensive product already.
Yes. So accessibility is something that the government really needs to look into and ensure that we have enough facilities around the country, or even upgrade the level 4 and 5 hospitals in the various counties to be able to handle a lot of this.
Where we could end it is, one thing about cancer and a lot of other diseases is there's a lot of data being collected. There's a lot of conversations going around about it. There's a lot of things happening in hospitals that actually lead to a lot of our researchers taking your data and using it for purposes of bettering the cancer situation or the cancer health, or even for purposes of statistics in the country.
Yeah.
And for cancer patients, I think the one thing that we need to note as their caregivers or as people who have this disease is, in the event that a hospital or someone wants to use your information for purposes of research, you need to give them informed consent. Not consent, informed consent. So for informed consent, you have to understand why your data is being collected, how it's being collected, how it's going to be used. Not too far from the Data Protection Act. Only then and only then can I give you access and consent to use my data. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. So for the last section of our episode, I'd like us to talk a little bit about private medical insurance and what exactly they cover. So it was very interesting to learn that you are not required to disclose your cancer data.
No, you are not.
Yes. And I think a lot of the insurance companies usually require people to declare pre-existing conditions when they're joining the cover. So, and with a lot of the insurance policies, cancer usually falls under the pre-existing conditions. So here we're just talking in general. So you find that a lot of medical insurance companies, if you've declared as a pre-existing condition, then your cancer treatment will only be catered for up to half of your inpatient cover. But if you are diagnosed when you're already on cover, then a lot of times, then the cover will cover up to the full limit of the outpatient cover. Then there's also an additional cover that is called critical illness cover, which I think is normally a very good cover because the critical illness cover is more of like a cash payout. So over and above your medical cover, this is a cover that once you're diagnosed with a critical illness, then now you go and claim, a lot of times from life insurance companies. So you claim, and then once you claim, you're given a sort of lump sum that helps you with the costs that come with that critical illness. So not only just the medical
Expenses.
but other expenses, as we've mentioned, transport, things like that. There are a lot of costs that come with that diagnosis, and the critical illness cover being a cash payout now helps you cater for those other expenses. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought it was just like in the cover itself that.
Yes, so there are some medical insurers who put the critical illness cover
cover
as a
itself.
rider.
Okay.
Yes. So when you claim, now that's when you're given the cash payout. So whether you get it from a life insurance company or whether it comes as a rider on your medical policy, sorry, the payout is the same.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a cash payout.
And do you think is it a wise thing to maintain those as two separate covers? I'm just thinking. I'm asking a question.
Yeah.
Talk to me like I'm that nominated senator, that female one. Do you think it's a good idea for us to split the cover or to have it like as one thing so that the person that's giving me medical is the same person that's giving me critical illness?
I think I like the one where it comes together with your medical insurance. It comes as a rider on your medical insurance cover. Because you see, in that way, because a lot of times I've realized people don't know so much about their insurance policies. So even when it's sold separately, not a lot of people will buy it.
Yes.
But if it comes as a rider on your medical policy, then at least it's there. So even if you'll pay an extra 5,000 for it, then it's coming as a rider. You don't have to go now to another company
again.
Yes, to get it.
Interesting. Actually, when I was doing research for this particular episode, I remember I looked through Kenya law reports to try and find something along the lines of discrimination because someone has cancer.
Yeah.
I was looking to see cases like those we see at the HIV and AIDS tribunal.
Yes.
Where you have disclosed my status or you have disclosed I have HIV. And I did not see that. But if the Kenyan public becomes aware enough and knows that I really do not need to declare to you that I have cancer for you to give me a cover, then it's going to put insurance companies in trouble, because I know the HIV Act put a lot of insurers in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when you and those things that you go, by the way, HR, I'm speaking to you. Employers, especially HR, you're the people I'm speaking to. When someone goes to the hospital under the umbrella of the insurance that you have taken for them,
Yes.
there is the authorization, it's called?
Pre-authorization.
Yes, the pre-authorization that is sent to you. Even if you read that form and see the most glaring information, don't be the one to disclose. Yes. Don't be the one to go and tell the boss, oh, by the way, she went there because she has disease A, B, C, D, E, F, G. In fact, hospitals are even in trouble for putting what patients have gone to hospital for on those forms. So it would be prudent for you, and this is not just for cancer, that when someone goes to hospital for a certain diagnosis or a certain disease, you don't follow up and now start calling the hospital and ask, oh, what did they come there to be treated for? That is a huge violation of, Kwanza, now we'll even move into violation of the data protection if you're not careful.
Yes.
Because for the HIV and cancer prevention, for sure, if you call and ask to confirm whether they went to be treated for HIV and cancer, that's already a violation. And those tribunals and courts are not kind. They are not, like, you'll be fined a whole 2 million for just looking for Udaku to discover whether or not your employee had a certain disease.
Imagine.
So, yeah, keep off. Like, let people have their right to privacy in those whenever they are unwell. And especially because most of these diseases and conditions that have stigma around them, the government is doing a very good job at protecting the dignity and privacy of the patients.
Yes.
So as a HR practitioner, nyindo ninaongelesha, as a HR practitioner, please contribute to maintaining the dignity of that patient. Don't be the person that is going around and asking questions about it and wanting to terminate them because they have a chronic illness.
That's very true. I think that is a lovely parting shot. And we can stop it at there today. So thank you for joining us for today's episode. I hope that you have learned something. And if you have anything to add or any questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section. You can follow us on social media at The Rundown KE. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also follow us on Spotify and
Apple Podcast, guys. Apple Podcast.
yeah. My personal pages are Ndanu Nzyuko on Instagram, X, TikTok. I joined TikTok.
I saw. She's on TikTok, guys. Aqua TikTok.
Yes.
We're about to start dancing in reels together.
Yeah, and on LinkedIn. And for you?
Mihala Barasa on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on TikTok, and on X. I maintain the same name all through all the platforms. Follow us, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, send to your parents, send to everyone. There's a guy in my church who he's always posting us. Aki, thank you so much. Like, He's always just posting. I just see myself on his page. And I hope the rest of you guys follow suit and help us. But anyway, it's been so lovely hanging out with you guys. And until we see you next time, bye.